Okay, without further ado, let me invite our moderator for the panel discussion, Dr. Samantha Rathnayake, Senior Management Consultant, Postgraduate Institute of Management, Sri Lanka. Everybody put your hands together. Give him a round of applause. And the other panelists, Mr. Revan Vikramasuriya, COO, Port City Commission, Mr. Dilhan Jayatilaka, Honorary Secretary, Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing, Mr. Ken Vijayakumar, President, CIPM Sri Lanka, Ms. Zahara Ansari, Country Manager, AICPA and CIMA, Mr. Jehan Peranpanayagam, Chairman SLASCOM, and Dr. Lakmal Fernando, Honorary Secretary, NCCSL. Everybody put your hands together and give them a round of applause.
Shaping of the business for the future. So here there are two aspects when it comes to looking at the mindset, the skill set, and the behavior set in terms of understanding one side. The other side is creating the value. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very challenging time. So in line with the theme, so we are coming to a panel discussion. In fact, I would say that symbolically we'll take about 20 to 25 minutes kind of a discussion in that sense. So here, according to the MC, there are 27 professional bodies have converged in this global CEO forum. Out of that, here we can see that there are 6 representatives, but mainly, so apart from the port city, so other 5 representatives are there. So what I would say that to make the housekeeping in order, so rather than going for a detailed discussion in terms of setting the tone, in the first round, probably I'll start with Port City because the investment dimension. Then the other members, to make it fair, I would follow the alphabetical order of starting from finance to IT to, then we can go for marketing, people, and the renewable energy. I think that would be a fair order. So in each panelist, I would invite you to take about, I would say 1 to 2 minutes to give the big picture of what is the kind of the reshaping readiness from your institutional representation in given line, and then probably would take 1 or 2 questions and go for the final round, and that's wrapping up. So in that sense, Raven, so the starting point would be the investment landscape. You are the best person to open it up.
Good evening, everyone, and it's a great pleasure to be here. I was called to talk about investment opportunities in Sri Lanka, and who am I to come into this room with the most astute investors, business professionals, CEOs, and try and tell you all how to invest and where to invest in Sri Lanka. But what I thought is, let me take this opportunity to talk about an investment opportunity that is the most latest development proposition or the value proposition the Sri Lankan government has to offer to the world, right? It is the Colombo Port City. This is a 2.7 square kilometers of land which was reclaimed, annexed to the business district of Colombo, and gazetted as a part of the Colombo district via a gazette issued in 2019. So it is an extension of the Colombo district, divisional secretariat of Colombo. So hopefully what we would like to see is in the near future we would even have a polling booth in there and we can go and vote in the port city. This is creating, the landmass created is being created as a special economic zone. Again, Sri Lanka is not new to special economic zones. With the GCC, which transitioned to the BOI, which is celebrating 45 years in existence now, having over 1,500 companies, we are not new to economic zones. But what is the port city, what is the government of Sri Lanka trying to create with the port city? We spoke about exporting. I think the Honorable Governor mentioned about increasing exports. The port city is looking at increasing the export of services. You all spoke about challenges in establishing and operating businesses. The port city is about creating an environment that enables doing of business or ease of doing business. We spoke about people or lots of Sri Lankans migrating overseas in droves, right? The port city is an environment that would hopefully attract these people who migrated overseas and create an environment to attract people back into the country, and also regional and global players to come in and set up their service industries or sectors that are looking at from tourism, global trade finance, hospitality, shipping logistics, etc. So purely the service industries. This has the potential. To date, the port city has attracted or has brought in approximately $1.3 billion of foreign direct investment into the land reclamation. The next phase, which we are about to launch or starting off, is what is called vertical constructions across the land acquisition or the land leases and the infrastructure coming up is a potential investment of about another $12 to $13 billion, which we expect to see a $24 billion contribution to the GDP of the country. The next stage is what we call the operational phase, when we see the businesses coming in and leasing properties and establishing themselves and running their businesses. That is the next phase, which we hope to see happening over the next 2 to 3 years. So I'd like to sort of end there and hand over to Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Rehan, for that wonderful start with the investment spotlight and the national big picture. With that, Ms. Zara, from CIMA point of view, it's a good time to start with the financial perspective.
Thanks, Dr. Rathnayake. So it's very interesting times across, even for the finance profession, not just in Sri Lanka, but across the world. Lots of things are changing. In fact, finance is said to be at an inflection point. We've moved on from being cost controlling people to actually the ones who are creating and adding value into businesses. So I sincerely hope those finance professionals here and their leadership that's here, if they've not got onto that journey, it's high time they did, so that they can, get that value creation happening even for our country. And thus, I'm sure Port City has amazing opportunities out there. Probably if you have a CGMA within your organization, get that person to check out that whole thing. I know a few secrets as well, because the chairman is also a CGMA, right? So coming back to the finance profession, lots of the changes in the outside environment is impacting our businesses, like what Hasita spoke about, right? Being cost competitive and all that. But are all our businesses geared up for that? For those who are familiar with the CF4 role, are you all also aware that Forbes, McKinsey, World Economic Forum, everyone's talking about the other CFO role, which is the Chief Future Officer. And no, that guy is not supposed to be, that guy or girl, is not supposed to be predicting the future, but rather preparing the organization for that future, how to deal with it, how to deal with the kind of challenges that come. So we at AICPA and CIMA, we are working towards upskilling our talent. I'm very, very proud to say we still hold the second largest community of CGMA fraternity across the world, second to just the UK. So we are very committed towards making sure that it continues. We give off the best talent to this country. And of course, yes, there will be a lot of talent moving. A lot of migration has happened since, unfortunately, Easter Sunday times. But the numbers are stable. And we will continue to upskill them and provide that kind of skilling to any business professional for that matter.
Thank you, Ms. Sahara. I think the key message is that the Chief Future, the future connector. With that, let's move to IT and the BPO industry. So, Jahan, you are playing a bigger role there.
Today's event really made me proud to be a Sri Lankan because it really shone a light that Sri Lanka is open for business. It highlighted our resilience, our leaders, our success stories, the innovation, and the spirit of Win Sri Lanka. And that is really reflected in the IT BPM industry, which has been absolutely resilient. All of our customers said throughout the crisis that they saw no difference in the service levels. And we have continued to grow. So the industry is estimated to be $1.7 billion in export revenue earnings. Our workforce has increased to 144,000. And throughout the challenges, we had some large global players like EYGDS. We had Emapta from Philippines. We had Australian-based BCS coming and setting up in Sri Lanka because they saw the long-term potential and the value in this country and in our industry. Over the last couple of weeks, we have been privileged to meet the board of IFS. They have recommitted to Sri Lanka. They have recommitted to grow in Sri Lanka. We've had investors from Norway coming in from 99X. We have had great innovations coming up, like for instance on renewable energy and tech for good, as we saw in the tea industry. So we are very, very optimistic for the future of this industry. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think that's a very good positive note. With that, Dr. Dilhan, from a marketer's point of view, it's time for us to see the big picture of marketing, branding. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Samantha. So, of course, Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing, many of you see it as an entity with a lot of glitz and glamour with the events and the award ceremonies that we organize. But having said that, our core is education, marketing education. Not only that, and many of you may not be aware that Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing is incorporated by an Act of Parliament, and we are the national body for marketing. So we have a larger role to play in terms of the future business in this country. And of course, we act in many ways, and we touch base on the marketing knowledge, more than marketing education, we would call it marketing knowledge from the grassroots. For an instance, we have a program which connects the rural community in this country, spreading the word of marketing. So the rural community which is engaged in micro and cottage industry, we make sure that they know the hang of marketing so that businesses can come up slowly, but they will also learn the art of marketing and it will get promoted. And also now, for long years, we actually, many people do not target the school community, the children who would be the future generation of this country, taking the responsibility. So we have a program that is approved by the Ministry of Education. We are taking not only marketing, we are taking entrepreneurship to schools. So now we have a system where we no longer have commerce societies, we have entrepreneurship societies in schools. So from the small age, we are teaching entrepreneurship practically. There is no theory, there is no syllabus. We are engaging them in activity-based learning to develop entrepreneurs. So SME sector, we talk about heavily on SME sector development and how people can be creative and entrepreneurial. We are doing that from the school base. And we target through this initiative all the schools in the country, state-owned schools. And apart from that, now our core focus of doing all these is, now I'm sure many or if not all of us, when we grew up, being a marketer had not been in the bucket list of professions for the child's ambition in our parents. What we want to do is drive that forward. So future parents will have becoming a marketer as a respected profession for their children. It's no longer being a doctor, engineer, accountant or a lawyer. Being a marketer will be in that level. So that's what we are driving towards. And also in terms of connecting to business growth, and we also consider women in leadership. Many years for now, we talk about women in the workforce. Now, how many females are leading corporate entities, large organizations in Sri Lanka? We are empowering that, and we have programmed to specifically make sure that many females come up in the ranks and become leaders of corporates where they work, or when they move out and for better prospects, when they become board level citizens, targeting the females age group of 25 to 45. So those are the key things that we do in terms of connecting marketers' role to develop business in the country, I would say.
Thank you, Dr. Dilhan. It's very pleased to hear that taking the reshaped approach from the SLIM in terms of connecting and reaching to the periphery and connecting the periphery into the center. With that, Mr. Ken, since you are the representative, the president of the nation's leading HR, it's not moving from marketing to people, but you are in the talent management landscape, the spotlight. I think it's time for you to open.
Yes. The good news is, I can see many CEOs are here. They are not decided to, migrate or whatever. They are all here, so that's a positive news. But the bad news is, Sri Lanka issued all-time high
of 874,955 passports last year. Foreign Employment Bureau, more than 300,000 Sri Lanka contribute secured jobs overseas in 2022. 700 doctors, including some medical consultants, migrated in 2022. Out of 560 engineers attached to one of the leading telecom companies, 61 has left. So that's the bad news. So as you all know, Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing, CIPM Sri Lanka as well, incorporated by the Parliament, Act of Parliament, so we have a huge role to play. Also, as you know, during COVID-19, the contribution by the HR professionals, how they brought the business back into shape by looking out at the well-being of the employees and starting looking into their well-being. So the business recovered. Huge contribution of the people professional. So as CIPM, we have a huge role to play to train our HR professionals to see there is a huge talent demand. So how do we cope up with the talent demand? So we will have to, we are trying to sort of educate our HR professionals in going back into, starting the internship programs, getting school leavers, trying to get more management training program to fill the skill gap in the long term. Also, in the short term, there are retired professionals. We could bring them back into, because there are, since the life expectancy is more in Sri Lanka, you see there are many professionals who can still contribute. So we are encouraging our members to recruit. All our members are, leading HR professionals or CHRO is in many organizations. We encourage them to recruit more retired people to come back and contribute. That's the short-term strategy. The long-term strategy is to, go back on talent development, reskilling, upskilling, and also to every company, whether there is a crisis or not. I think many speakers spoke about, be ready to face anything in the volatility. So they have to go back again to look at the talent management, more succession planning. So we are, encouraging our members to do that. Also at CIPM, we have the people management arm, solutions arm. So any company can, come to us. We will support them with the strategies to, look into the talent demand and how do we cope up with the talent demand. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kane. I think interesting as well as commendable in terms of getting this identified role of people management and the talent management by and large. So we started with the investment, even though the representations from the diverse professional bodies here, from a National Chamber of Commerce point of view, Dr. Lakmal, so you're also representing a wonderful area of this renewable energy. Your time to open it up.
Good evening, everyone. I was listening to most of the speakers who presented their case, but energy has been part of most of their, speeches. For example, the chairperson from Unilever said the hardships that she was going through when she came to this country because of the energy shortage, power cuts. And then Mr. Premaratna from Brandix, he mentioned about moving into renewable energy. And Kotarasan particularly mentioned about the doing good, conducive business in the renewable energy space, which we need kind of transparency in doing projects and some kind of a proper mechanism to be brought in. So all these things, whatever we have been discussing here, and majority of the things what is having as a burning issue in Sri Lanka, energy is a very, very big share. So this is inevitable. Any country in the world, if you are to develop, you have to provide energy security. What I meant by energy security was, energy must be available and affordable. So these two things must be there in any economy for that economy to grow. Right now, of course, we have come out from the energy shortage, but do we have the affordability? No. So I think it is the responsibility of the government. I'm telling this because we have a very responsible officer here, the central bank governor is here. So the taking policy decisions in terms of giving affordable energy solutions to the country is equally important than just providing energy. Right now what we have is we provide energy. We knew that we were going to have energy shortage in this year because of the drought, but we were not ready for it. We were ready to buy emergency power at any cost and pass it on to the customer. With the unbundling of the utility probably within the next 1.5 to 2 months, it's going to get worse because our energy spread is basically 60-40, 65-35 kind of a spread, 35% renewable energy and 65% fossil fuel based energy. So as long as we are having this kind of an energy mix, we are going to forever face these problems. And all our businesses, some of the businesses who have been here for 30-40 years in this country have left the country because of unaffordability of energy. This is happening. While we speak, this is happening. And the government will have to provide a strong solution, affordable solution for the businesses to be conducive as well as the domestic households to be able to afford energy. Right now it is not affordable. So I think the only way forward is going to be absorbing renewable energy as much as possible to the national grid, which is possible. About 6 months ago, the utility, the then GM very openly said that 2,700 megawatts of renewable energy can be absorbed without any alterations to the national grid. So that must be done. That must be made available to every businessman in this country for them to compete so that we will have, level playing field in the country for the energy sector, and the benefit can be passed on to the consumers. So we have an authority, a Sustainable Energy Authority is the regulator for renewable energy in Sri Lanka. They have something like 6,500 megawatts of licenses pending without being executed. So those things must move forward fast. Instead of doing haphazard things, giving a job to somebody, whoever is coming from overseas or here, is not going to solve the problem. There should be some kind of methodology how you are going to be giving projects, and it should be open. So without energy security, there is no future for business or no shaping of economy.
Thank you, Dr. Lakmal. I think you have encompassed everything into that rich basket of problem, implications, solutions, issues, all the aspects you have put it. Very nice. Thank you very much. So with the interest of time, before I go to the final round, while respecting to the audience, may I take at least one question from the audience? So if the audience is not there, there is no discussion here. At least one question? Or is it the turbulent times or the challenging times, not only in the macro environment, now we are having the same challenging times here in the audience also. With that, in that sense, it seems not having interest to ask questions. Shall we go to the final round? In that sense, dear ladies and gentlemen, so there is no particular order. What I want to tell you that this is a global CEO forum where all the CEOs, heads are looking for some strategic takeaways. So from your institutional, your dimension point of view, take 1 minute to the final round. Would you like to give one critical message within 1 minute where the CEOs can think about, take it forward, or connect with you and further deliberate probably after the sessions? So shall we start from you again?
The rose among the thorns, I guess. So my message, my key takeaway for the leadership would be, we know it's very lonely at the top. So don't worry, if you guys are not CGMAs already, you all could always create your network with us. In the recent past, we've realized that even the ones, I think one of the speakers said, right, like some stuff keep them up at night. So if you have business challenges and so on, invest in your education first. Whatever professional qualification it is or whatever kind of education it is, keep yourself updated and reskilled, because otherwise it's going to be really difficult for you to go and lead the others. Because sometimes, yes, they will have different skills, but you also need to know what's going on, right? Especially on the technology side. I know Ranga spoke a little bit about the AI and all of that coding. Do you know that the finance professionals, the accountants, now it's kind of like a must to know Python, to know coding? And we teach that right here at SEMA. Even we teach digital skills because it's a must to evolve in the finance space and in the professional space. So we also have what I forgot to say earlier for the leadership is that we have this C-suite business and finance role. We have a lot of exemption-based rules, but we take only a selected quantity of people from Sri Lanka. That's like the norm. And we train them and we get them to become CGMA. So we make them think like accountants, like management accountants. So those opportunities are there, and please invest in your people as well. What got them here is not going to keep them there or help your organization succeed if you're not going to invest in them. That's it.
Invest for the future. Dr. Lakman?
My message to all the CEOs to take home would be, the change is happening. It's right in front of us. It's going to, basically legislated very soon. I'm talking about the utility unbundling, so that is on the way. And with that, you will be able to cater to the demands of your suppliers, because I do understand, if I speak to 10 companies who are into exports, they get pressure from their buyers to move into a carbon neutral environment. And we do have signed for Paris Convention 2019 that we are supposed to go 70% renewables by 2030, for which we need 9 gigawatts of solar and wind together. So all these things are happening. So energy wheeling is going to come into the come into the market. So be ready the moment that you have it, grab that grid space available and move into renewable energy. That is the only way forward. You be self-sufficient in your energy sources so that you can be the controller of your expenses. Right now, with the unbundling, there will be various, there will be about a number of companies who are selling energy to you, and they can decide if we don't give the right legislation, if we don't give the right controlling powers to the regulators, each and every energy company will decide what price I am selling energy for. This has happened in Europe, this has happened in Japan, this has happened in Singapore, everywhere. So without proper legislation going in for unbundling and selling energy by the private companies is going to put more and more pressure on businesses, more and more pressure on 5.5 million families here. So this is going to change. So be ready, be self-sufficient. That is my message to the business community as well as the general public.
Wonderful. Marketer's role, the strategic take-home message.
Yeah, how we would look at it is that we connect with many of the corporates in different perspectives. Like if you're in the digital space, we have recognition for digital space companies who are in that spectrum through our award ceremonies. And if all of you are brands, so brands, we have a setup where all of you may have seen the brand excellence. So we work with brands, we encourage brands to come forward, because applying it is not only about winning an award. The purpose of all these our ceremonies is actually itself is a case study where it will improve your brand strength and the future of your brand. And most important, the sales force. And sales people are the ones who actually bring in revenue. So we work with them, and more than 500, now this time we have passed 1,000 entries. People want to engage and improve themselves. So this is another way that we would like to work with all of you. These all opportunities are available. And SME sector, we recently concluded the SMEDA Awards, SME Development Awards. So we are very much keen on the SME sector and working very closely on that. So these award ceremonies that we have are not only for recognition, it's purely a development and a growth for the company that you represent and for your team, the staff that are under you. And also we believe in knowledge and recognition. So that's the framework of all this work. So we have plenty of ways, like I mentioned, to connect with us. So please engage. We will be happy to be working with you to ensure that businesses grow bigger and better in this country.
Mr. Ken?
Yes, I think Zara said it all. Invest in your people. Of course, work with your HR heads or your HR people. They will make you a hero. So that's what we have trained our HR people, to give solution to your talent issues, and also indulge in value education. In Sri Lanka, I think if you look at all these problems, the values have far deteriorated. The crisis came because the values deteriorated. I don't want to go into detail, but every company, I think when you go into every company, there are core values. So I think CEOs should drive those values and make everybody, working class, are better citizens of this country. So invest in your people, develop your people to, do your business successfully. Thank you.
Wonderful. Mr. Jehan?
So my message is don't waste the crisis. We have the opportunity to reset and rebuild a new sustainable Sri Lanka. We must grab this opportunity. We must not allow complacency. I think a lot of people quickly forget what it was last year. We must not miss this opportunity, whether it is investing in renewables, whether it is educating a future-ready workforce, whether it is restructuring our SOEs. We must continue what we have started and not to allow this crisis to go to waste. The other aspect of a CEO mindset is positivity. CEOs are able to see opportunities in the most difficult of times and remain positive when all around there is turbulence. So in this crisis, there are opportunities that we must grab. Some of the great innovations like Uber, Airbnb came in a time of crisis and people saw, I don't mind sharing my car and earning something. And there was an opportunity. So there are great opportunities for us, for CEOs, for companies, and for the country that we must not miss.
Wonderful. With that, let's come to Mr. Revan. Is there final thoughts?
Yeah, my final thoughts are, all you people, the business CEOs, executives are looking for an environment that enables you to do business easily. And that is what is ingrained in the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Act. An objective is to make a business enabling environment with the support of institutions like the Department or bodies like the Department of Immigration, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Over the last year, or starting from Q1, we came in with a visa framework which gives visas for foreign workers up to 10 years, a never seen before structure in Sri Lanka. We've created a special account to facilitate the transfer of foreign currency into that account and out of that account, because we realize one of the most important factors for businesses sitting and doing trade services, global logistics, is the free transferability of their foreign currency. So we've created that as 2 steps, or 1 and 2 steps. We are working very closely with the Finance Ministry, the Labour Department, to create frameworks that would further ease the pain points you all have in terms of hiring people, making sure their retirement benefits, how they are structured. We are addressing those. So there is a lot of work done thus far, and there are workflows which are in progress, which should come to fruition in the next couple of months. The last point I would add is, all of you all here, I believe, either have global hubs or regional processing hubs overseas, right? Buying centers, support centers, etc. overseas. Some of you all are sitting here looking at establishing these centers overseas. You would need to move your staff there. You would need to hire people overseas. The Colombo Port City can give you an opportunity to establish those processing centers, service centers within the 2.69 square kilometers of land which has been annexed to the Colombo district. So that is my last point.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So it's a short discussion. I'd love to have a very detailed deliberation, but in few minutes time you can open up, you can mingle with. There are 27 professional representations in this room in terms of bringing the global CEO discussion. So as I said at the inception, it's time to look for getting the mindset, the skills and attitude in terms of getting the shape of the future of the business, as well as, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to look for creating value. Thank you very much. Over to you, MC.